Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I'm joined by my man of iron.
First show of 2024, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast.
That's right, man. 2024 is going to be off with a bang. We're wrapped up 2023. Of course, I ended 2023 sick. I'm starting 2024 sick. Just a cold that I've had here for about a week now. As you probably, I had some people messaging me after last week's show, and I was like, yes, I was. That's when it started, and this is how it's still going. So it still sounds about the same.
Thank God we don't cover wellness and healing on the channel.
Dude, it's something that's been going around, I guess. I mean, I know a lot of people I've talked
I've
to.
had it before. This year it's a bitch, and you don't want to ever. You do want to get over it, but your body doesn't, and it just drags and drags and drags. Yeah,
we're convinced my youngest one's boyfriend drug it in for Christmas because my brother's sick. He was here, and pretty much a couple people that were sick that were here. So we're convinced it was him, and I don't know what kind of stuff he gave me, but I'm gonna kick his ass when I see him.
Well, that's the good thing about my daughter's boyfriend who won't meet me yet. I don't have to worry about him bringing home any diseases. So,
yeah. But listen, man, before we jump in, it's last week we talked a lot about the year in review, kind of the wrapping up 2023. This year we're going to jump in. There's going to be a couple topics like we got to address, right? Some big stuff did happen this week. Some guy named Dwayne showed up on Raw. We had a big AEW pay-per-view, but we're also going to get into some predictions, some things we think is going to happen in 2024. But before we get started, we want to remind everybody, make sure you look, we are on YouTube, of course. There you see it on the screen, youtube.com. At Tapped Out Pod is the handle, or you could Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. You could search us and find us there. But we're still on our Patreon home, of course, patreon.com/TappedOutPod. Both of those, you can, become a member, get the show early, get some bonus content. I released a superlatives list over behind the Patreon wall last week as well. But of course, the big one is, but if you're on YouTube, make sure you're liking, subscribing, turn your notifications on, all that good stuff. You could still become a member there for now. I'm kind of waffling on going exclusive Patreon again. A lot of behind the scenes stuff as to why. But patreon.com/TappedOutPod is the Patreon. And of course, youtube.com Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast is the, is the YouTube channel. But Myron, let's dive right into the mix. Look, by the way, we're going to tease where we're going to be this weekend at the end of the show. So make sure you stick around to the end of the show. We'll actually tell you where we were going to be
this weekend.
There's not a single clue on the screen right now if you're watching.
I haven't made any plans for the weekend.
Yeah, but look, day one starts off with a bang in WWE. We're going to look in a second. We're going to discuss some of the shit. How
Jinder Mahal, man.
Jinder Mahal generates 1.6 million views on social media for his return to Raw. Like, how crazy is that?
Well, that was just on one social media. What was it?
Yeah, was it Facebook probably or Twitter? Who the fuck knows? Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. First, let me ask you this. So, look, I know. Rock was spotted with Nick Khan at the Rose Bowl earlier in the day. But a serious question. Vince McMahon's in charge. They can't keep a secret for shit. Triple H's regime is in, and they've not only given us a surprise CM Punk return that nobody really saw coming, and now a Rock that was pretty much a surprise, I would say, to the majority of people. There's some people that were like speculating, like, oh, well, he was at, the Rose Bowl with Nick Khan. Okay, they hang out more. Right.
That was business. The Rock had the USFL, XFL merger thing going on. He's a part owner. Yeah. He had all that kind of stuff going on. The thing's launching. Probably going to use the WrestleMania to get things going and all that. Nick Khan's a big business guy.
Let me ask you, Myron. You don't think, because Nick Khan and Dwayne Johnson are friends.
Yeah.
You don't think he used him as a resource of some kind in that whole XFL, USFL merger? You've lost your damn mind.
Nick Khan's a media genius. God, I wish my wife would have watched Raw with me because she loves The Rock. I probably would have got lucky. I'm sorry, folks. I know that sounds I know that sounds horrible, but it's just a true story. But the thing is, it's you got to see that The Rock transcends media. And he also made me pop like a small child. And he also made all those people in the audience pop. And we thought it was the Attitude Era. And he came out there and he cursed. And he did the Rock thing. And then he hit the people's elbow. And everybody was happy.
Were they?
Who? Jinder Mahal wasn't. Who wasn't happy, Nick?
Well, for about 30 seconds, the internet was not happy it was Jinder Mahal, right?
Yeah, well.
Then The Rock comes out and everybody, so at first, everybody's happy. Then everybody loses their mind when The Rock drops that line in his promo about should he sit at the head of the table. And then the IWC lost its mind. It became, what about Cody? Are they going to? Is Cody going to lose his spot now? Is he not going to finish his story?
Cody is in no hurry. Why waste the best story you've got? Why split? Why just ruin this thing with Cody? You could draw this thing of Cody out forever.
No, you cannot.
You cannot.
I completely disagree.
You can't just keep using this story.
No.
You can't go
Cody. Cody has, in my opinion, and it means nothing because it's my opinion. I think Cody has to win this year. Last year, I was on board with him not winning. This year, him not winning at Mania, I think would be detrimental to Cody long term. He has to. This whole finishing the story, I get it. That's what the narrative they're running with. If Cody is going to win it, it does, in my opinion, have to be this year at Mania.
I just don't.
By the way, it's not that complicated to fucking get there, by the way. Listen, let's be honest with you, Myron. There's a pay-per-view, Elimination Chamber in Australia before Mania. Look, I think we're going to get Randy Orton and Roman maybe at Rumble, maybe. I think, my vision is this has changed a little bit over the last 24 hours or so.
Yeah, because I wasn't aware of this.
Yeah, so originally I thought it's got to be Roman versus Rock one-on-one, and I still think that's what we're going to get, by the way, at Elimination Chamber, not at Mania. Because here's the thing, Myron. We're going to discuss the importance of the international PLEs in a little bit down in the next segment. But there's something I wanted to say that people are going to blow their minds. Mania is Mania. It is still the top pay-per-view. I don't know that there is a Big Four pay-per-view, like as far as the Big Four anymore. To me, Elimination Chamber in Australia might, on the grand scheme of things to WWE, be just as important as like Survivor Series or SummerSlam and what I mean by that is they have an opportunity to put 60-something thousand people in a stadium in Australia. Guess what? Mania is going to sell out because it's Mania. Why not use your Rock as a resource for Elimination Chamber and fill that fucking stadium in Australia versus worrying about putting him in a match at Mania?
So this is going to drop on a Saturday when college football season is over. There's not going to be any competition for it. It's going to be the main thing on television that Saturday. It's going to be, I don't know what the time difference is.
Hold on. I mean, literally, I want you to answer this question. If Rock's at Mania, does it really, and I know this sounds controversial, will it generate, let me ask you that, but let me rephrase the question. Let's make more sense. Do you get a bigger ROI on Rock being at Chamber in Australia or Rock in a match at Mania? I think there's a bigger bump for Chamber than there is for Mania. I think you get a bigger return on your investment putting him in a match at Chamber than you do at Mania. Because at Mania, he's just going to be, again, it's Rock. It's going to be a big match, but it's Mania.
Well, when you think about it, Nick, that's a new audience you're trying to get. If you look at it, where will it make a new audience in America and The Rock? That may give you at best a 5% bump. And when you look at it in Australia, where you get a chance to give yourself a 60% bump with a new audience, that's a completely different game. That's a new place to sell the network. That's a new place to sell T-shirts. That's a new place to action figures and all that other stuff people love.
I just think you sell more tickets because Rock's there at Chamber than you do at Look, Mania is going to sell what it's going to sell. You don't think about it. They're selling like crazy and they don't even have a match yet. So my thing is, I just think it's a better return on your investment to put Rock in at Chamber, and you give us, because here's the thing, we're still going to get down this little rabbit hole a little bit. I mean, so I think Cody still ends up versus Roman at Mania. I still think we get that story. I can't remember my predictions. You know what? I'm going to leave my prediction of how Cody gets to Mania in our next segment.
Oh, and I just checked. Sydney, Australia is 8 hours behind us here on the East Coast.
It's going to be in the middle of the day, right? Or is it the reverse? Is it ahead? I can't remember.
No, they're behind us. It's 2 a.m. there. It's 10 a.m. here. So.
Oh, so it's going to be in the middle of the night. It's going to be like 2 or 3 in the morning when that pay-per-view's on.
Unless they do it at like 2 o'clock. Or
yeah, it'll depend on what time they run it there. Yeah, I guess that's probably true. They may run it at noon, and then it'll be an 8 o'clock pay-per-view here at PLE. So they might. I don't know. I haven't looked at the times. Don't care. My whole point is I think that that's what we're going to get. Because here's the thing. If Roman beats Rock, it's solidified. Look, I have always thought that was the end game. It's the only reason Rock comes back is to put over Roman. For him to come back and beat Roman does nothing for nobody, in my opinion.
No,
So I think he comes back. Now look, I think there's some shenanigans maybe, which again we can get into that down the road.
Do the job. Yeah. Get your football league put over. How about that? How about do the job? Get unlimited advertisement for your football league.
Here's the thing: you can double whammy it. Solo interferes. Cost Rock the match. Roman, defeats. He is now the official head of the table, and then Solo, by the way, can maybe get a match with Rock at Mania, and you can do the huge favor for the future of the family and putting Solo over maybe.
So the Rock losing doesn't really hurt the Rock because the Rock has transcended WWE. But everybody's like, let's bring out all the family. Let's bring Rikishi back, and let's bring out the Rock's daughter. I don't think we need all that. I don't think they're really going to rush that and start dragging people out of the woodwork to be.
I think it's a great way to get there, though. I mean, I think that's how you get the story involved and make it mean more. But that's just my take. I mean, I think, look, there's lots of things. I don't think it costs Cody. I don't think it costs Punk. I think people are overreacting, and that's that. Look, but that's the IWC, right? Is let's overreaction. Tuesday, because of after Raw, it was Tuesday. But look,
let's pop some numbers, Nick. Let's pop some numbers about 2023. What do you feel happened in 2023, Nick?
Well, look, we're going to make some predictions here about 2024, but look, it was most social media views all time, highest merch revenue all time, highest sponsorship levels all time, highest PLE viewership all time, highest grossing ticket sales ever.
Highest leave Chris Jericho out of this.
Yeah. So sorry, man. I told you this medicine's got me rolling here. So, look, we had a long conversation about this off the air, right? We talked about it's impressive, and there's lots of things that are impressive, but there are some issues with when you talk about inflation and why it's easy to come up with revenue, highest revenue and all that kind of stuff is simply because of inflation. But they're on fire, dude. WWE is on a roll. They have got their foot on the gas. They literally can't. It just seems like they cannot do anything wrong Remember that, though. Be careful, because you can. When you think you can't, then you can. But I want to get into a couple things, predictions we think of 2024. And my biggest one, I think, will be a surprise to a lot of people. We've heard the rumblings. We've heard that, the conversations. I think Roman retires this year.
Roman retires before he gets Hogan's number.
Yeah.
Before he gets Hogan's number. They don't erase Hogan from the books.
Nope.
Oh God, because I gotta disagree on this, because I think they really, really want to erase Hogan.
They may want to. Here's the thing. Look, it's a whole other can of worms about, is Hulk Hogan a piece of shit? Is he not a piece of people's personal lives? I get it. But with no Hulk Hogan, there is no WWE at this point. So I think it's a really hard to say, like, they're just like, oh, we're going to wipe him off. I also just think it's too hard. There's no way you can get to next year with Roman as champion. Like I said, I've for the record said I think Cody's got to win this year. But I think the reason we're and here's the thing, Rock returning was the thing that convinced me of this. I think they feel like they have to milk Roman for everything they can get for him. If the health concerns are an issue that we've heard talks about, he wants to go off and be an actor. He already negotiated this part. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go away forever and never wrestle again. I think he's going to drop the title, and he's going to become Cena/Rock and go off and try to do Hollywood. And I think for his health issues and all that kind of stuff that we've heard about, I think the lesson they learned with The Rock was they left a lot of meat on the bone for Rock, because they just assumed that Rock would come back, and then it didn't happen the way they thought, and there was just so much left on the table that they're just not going to make that mistake again.
Man, I'm so twisted on this one. I just don't want to admit I'm wrong here. I hate to say this, but you've got a valid point. And if his health is bad, you can start to understand why it's been run in city. Give him a breather while Solo comes in and pops some people, or Jimmy causes some interference. I get it. I just wanted to see him take Hogan's record. I just wanted to see Roman do this. And I've always been pro Roman. Well, actually not. But the thing is, once you get to a certain point, I just want to see the records keep going down. But we'll see. I just love the way he carries himself, and he looks like a champion and acts like a champion. So we'll see. But,
yeah. Second prediction, I think, look, Cody and Punk are there. Somebody asked me, well, how does Cody get to SmackDown if he's on Raw and Punk's? My argument is, I say use the chamber match to get Punk to Rollins and let Cody win it again. Let him win the Rumble again, because then he can challenge whomever he wants to.
Makes sense.
It's a more difficult leap to get Cody to Roman than it is, because Punk and Rollins are on the same show.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just easier. So that's why I said, I'm like, let's just, simple enough. Boom, boom. That, so it's all done. And I think so. Let Cody win the Rumble again. Let Punk, go to Chamber somehow, win his shot through the Chamber, something like that. Or hell, you could honestly just give him the match at that point. Whatever.
Man, I'm enjoying Rollins this year, 2023. I've really enjoyed him, and 2024, I look forward to what they're doing with him. And speaking of that, did you see the bloody nose his wife got on TV Monday night again? They got this Nia Jax angle going strong. I'm looking forward to more Nia Jax in 23, Grandpa. That fan club. Be talking to you about that soon.
We got
3 members
the
now.
2.0 of the bloody nose and my hole.
Yes.
On one match.
They kept popping so many my holes in that match. They dropped that poor woman on her ass all through that show.
So,
golf clap.
We already briefly discussed one of my other predictions. I think Mania's, look, I don't know that Mania's significant decreases is probably the right words. And what I mean by that is, I think Mania is always going to be Mania. It's always going to be a top of the food chain pay-per-view.
It's a Super Bowl.
But maybe what I'm trying to say is I think the others level off.
Yeah.
I think the more international PLEs we see, I think that filling a stadium in Germany, Australia, that stuff matters to me, in my opinion, as much as filling a 15,000 seat arena for a PLE in Chicago or in Las Vegas or LA, etc.
Do you think we'll come to a point where you'll get a yearly event in another country? Like, this will be a recurrent thing. Like, every year we'll have Elimination Chamber in Australia around the same time. It'll be their Mania. We come to you, give you your big show.
I think what we get to, and I haven't even looked at next year's calendar, and I should, and I say this because I was look, I've been drugged up this week. Just let me slide on some statistics and some lack of research this week. I think we get to where we're consistently, there's at least half of the PLEs are in other countries. Like, if there's 12 PLEs in a year, I think half of them are somewhere, like in an international building, stadium.
Well, I mean, ticket sales are ticket sales. It doesn't matter where they're sold at.
Right.
Because you're going to watch the PLE anyway because it's on the network.
By the way, people travel more if they realize they're only getting half of the PLEs in this country. Like, you'd be willing to go like, all right, man, well, look, think if you found out that SummerSlam wasn't, like, the people that travel to, like, Mania, SummerSlam, all these whatever, well, SummerSlam's in Germany or SummerSlam's in London or SummerSlam's in Australia, whatever. I get it. That's hard to sell, but, like, if you only get half as many in your country, you're more likely to, I'm thinking, travel to go, because then the 6 that are here matter more. That, but anyway, that's just my take. Look, and this is not political, but with where we are with inflation and the dollar and everything, I think those numbers that we talked about, they continue to, they're going to crush those numbers, ticket revenues, because look, if they go overseas and they're running these shows and they're selling 50, 60,000 seat, stadiums, yeah, guess what you're going to beat? A 60,000 seat chamber is going to beat the 10 or 11,000 seat chamber they ran last year. You see what I mean? Like, the math just
a minor PLE here becomes a major PLE something else because it's special.
Yes.
Okay, so it's an event over there. What was a 12-month filler show?
Money in the Bank was in London. Was it in London last year? My brain. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It wasn't here, I don't think. But you get the gist, right?
Yeah. So it's something that not so special becomes something really special because of where you hold it.
Correct.
Oh.
If London gets one PLE, and that doesn't even have to be like you're thinking the same one, but if 1 year they got Money in the Bank, 1 year they get SummerSlam, 1 year they get Hell in a Cell, whatever, like they're going. They don't give a shit. So that's kind of my take on it. But look, speaking of special, I do want to get into, I think this year, I think they wanted to test the waters last year, and I think they saw the diamond in the rough they had with Logan Paul.
Oh, yeah.
This year, I think Logan Paul becomes like, he even goes to that next tier, and I think they try to milk even more out of him, as far as his status.
The advanced case of Bad Bunny syndrome. The way they have developed a celebrity that has potential. They found it, they nurtured it, they turned it into a bigger concept. They took someone who can draw attention outside of wrestling, who was already drawing attention outside of wrestling, brought them into wrestling, and had them draw attention in and outside of wrestling together.
Yeah.
Package deal. I mean, look at guys like Seth Rollins. As much as you would love Seth Rollins only draws interest inside of wrestling. He's not out there doing things in other mediums. These people
he's going to be in the New World Order, the new Captain America movie when it comes out. Remember, he's going to be a villain. So I think that kind of
but he didn't
him out.
Yeah, but that's somebody who went from wrestling to somewhere else. This is someone coming from an acceptance somewhere else into wrestling.
Oh yeah,
who already has their thing. You're taking crossover. That's how the Marvel Universe became so big. Is crossover stars.
Listen, speaking of celebrity, here's an outside prediction that's going to be out of left field. I'm jumping on the note, so don't worry about me here. Mania is at Philadelphia this year. The Kelce's will be there.
Oh.
Jason Kelce plays for the Eagles. His brother's Travis, of course, is dating one, Taylor Swift. So football season's going to be over. So guess who can have some free time? Not her, but the Kelce's could. If I'm WWE...
they'll be on the front row. They're going to be on the front row.
Dude, if I'm WWE, I'm making that phone call like right now. Or if they haven't already. Like, hey, we want Jason there. Because, by the way, Jason's wife is freaking hilarious. She's awesome. If you haven't seen that documentary, you should check out Kelce on Prime Video, I believe. Other predictions, I got to get these two out of the cook because we're running long here. One, this is Wednesday, we're recording. The podcast releases on Thursday. Triple H has teased some major announcement, and everybody, of course, has teased the oh my God, he's going to Tony Khan, he's going to do something or whatever. My prediction, which I'm going to call incorrect up front, but my prediction is that the major announcement is they announce their new TV deal. I think he announces that they have their new landing home. So on Thursday when they go through this whole thing, I think that's what they announce. I don't know. I'm not saying who it's going to be. I'm not making that prediction.
Well, the thing is, Nick, Tony Khan has came out and said announcement, and they're all getting kind of hollow. Triple H has not blown his wad with these announcements. So you believe when Triple H says he's got an announcement, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, which is why I think that's what it is. It could be a bunch of things.
I think it's going to be a big deal too because Triple H is saying it.
Now I will say a big thing came out. Yeah, look, it was a big deal, and I'm always amazed at how on the internet, like, people have to make like smart ass comments. Like, I literally shared like, "Hey, Kevin Dunn's leaving," and people are like, "Blah blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Dude, I'm not. This is news. It's news. It's not. You know what I'm saying? It's news in the sense he's leaving because he's fucking been there forever. That's why it's news. It's not like, oh my God, I wasn't shocked like, oh, people quit all the time. Yeah, no shit. But I'm like, but Kevin Dunn's been there, so it is a big deal. However, I do think TV looks a little bit different over the next year.
Oh yeah,
you made the comment that it didn't look a lot different on Raw, but look, it's the first kind of show. I think they're going to try some new things. Maybe is what I'm thinking.
He's been the one that's translated Vince's vision. Okay, 40 years of Bucky Beaver, as Vince Cornette calls him, translating Vince's vision. People got upset with him. Cornette got upset with him. People didn't like Kevin Dunn, but the whole time Cornette was the vessel through which Vince's vision was transmitted onto the WWE audience. So regardless of what you think, Kevin Dunn was the one that was just doing Vince's will, and he made Vince's thoughts into the appearance that we got. So there is no doubt things will look different because the translator is gone. Not only is the mind gone, the translator who was doing it is gone. So Nick Khan and Triple H don't have somebody to do that anymore. It's all going to have to come from Triple H and his people.
No, I think they've got somebody that'll fill that hole there. But I'm just saying, I think it'll look a little different. And only from the sense of, I think they'll try some things. I think, like you said, he had his vision of what Raw was, TV in general. But then I think going forward, we get to see something a little bit different. More, it'll be like, but it's not they're not going to reinvent the wheel. Let's put it that way.
I think it'll probably look a little bit more modern. I think it'll probably accommodate younger people better. It probably more hip, for lack of a way to put it. I think it'll appeal to more audiences. People our age might be like, "That's not my wrestling. They didn't look at my wrestling." But then again, our wrestling, that's my wrestling. Where we all used to say it should look like something Bill Watts did. So as we get older, things change, and that's just going to be the way it always is.
Yeah. Anyway, but I will tell you something, Myron, that is not the way our father saw it. That is the way we bet these days. Look, back in the day, you just bet on games straight up. Now, of course, if you want to bet, you can get quick payouts and all of that from our friends over at Prize Picks.
You still working on this?
It's 2 minutes to kickoff. Who do I pick?
2 words, Prize Picks. It's so easy. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. It's just you against the numbers. Simply pick the over-under on 2 or more players, and that's it. You can win up to 10 times your money in just one day. Join over 150,000 people who found a better way to play. Download the Prize Picks app today and get your first deposit match up to $100.
That's right, man. Check out our friends over at Prize Picks. Football season may be wrapping up, man, and coming to an end, but they've got basketball, they've got hockey, they've got it all over there on Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com, and of course, download the app. It's the easiest way to play, in my opinion.
Ooh.
Myron, then there was the big thing. We wrapped up the end of the year with a pay-per-view. That's right, not a PLE, but an actual pay-per-view from AEW at it's World's End, whatever the hell they called that thing. Look, a lot of people going into this, we had made the comment. I thought at this point they had come to where there's really nothing they could do that would probably make a lot of people live up to the hype. Maybe the Devil's revealed. Adam Cole, he is the Devil.
Never saw that coming.
Look, of course, everybody and their brother saw it coming online. Talked about, it's so predictable. It was so, blah, blah, blah. Look, he did have there was the shot from like months back where he had the mask hanging in the locker behind him on Dynamite. Got it. Makes sense. It was, it was what it was. My thing with the Devil, and we've talked about this ad nauseum at this point. Once Punk left, like that was the only, I don't want to say angle, but that was the only story I felt like people were going to be satisfied with. So once he jumped ship and he was in WWE, it was like, okay, let's pull this Band-Aid off and just move on. Get to where you're going to do and do what you can with the story.
Instead of dragging it out, just get it done, get it over with, gone on to the next thing. Because I had trouble following the whole Devil's Minion story. And then when it came out to be this guy and that guy and the thing, weren't those guys... I don't know. It's been a hard time for me to keep up with all this stuff. The announcements, the title belts, the title matches, catching up with the show. It's like, I had trouble following it, Nick, and I'm sorry. Folks, I don't watch AEW as regularly as I should, but I shouldn't need a scorecard to work my way through a pay-per-view. I shouldn't need to try to remember all this stuff.
Look, I thought the pay-per-view overall was really good.
Oh, it was a fine pay-per-view. I just didn't know where it was going.
Well, the problem is like I said, they unveiled out the members of the group, Wardlow, Matt Taven, Roderick Strong, and Mike Bennett. That kind of fell flat on a lot of people. But here's the thing. It's an opportunity to make some, elevate some guys, and I'm hoping that's where they're going with this. But you couldn't really do it. Like I said, you couldn't. Who are you going to do? I mean, Omega's out. Punk's gone. This guy's tied up in this feud. That guy, I mean, I just felt like there's so much, even though Cole made sense, like I would have thought like Tony Khan, he's real quick to back up the Brinks truck and try to make something happen. Why not go out and try to mend fences with Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly? And, I think O'Reilly's hurt, but make it O'Reilly, like go back and get Cole's core group of guys versus Taven, Wardlow and, Mike Bennett.
What happened to Wardlow being featured? Why isn't Wardlow in the front again? Why is it Mike Bennett and Roderick Strong was in a position of strength a while back, wasn't he? When he was
he's always Cole's best friend. He's always Adam Cole's best friend. They've played that story for a while now. But look, the Wardlow one does bug me a little bit, and only from the aspect of he basically came out and kind of like, I'm coming for you to get my title, and I'm going to get my revenge. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. That's not what he actually said. So you're going to get your revenge by becoming second or third fiddle in a group. So you're not going to get your title match because Cole's going to be the guy, not you. So yeah, Wardlow playing second, third fiddle to Cole didn't make sense to me, but whatever. Look, here's the thing. They've pulled the Band-Aid off. Let's just keep moving. Like that's all you can do.
Okay.
Let's see where they go. Let's see, can you get a story out of it? Yes. That's the best they can do. The big positive for me personally, look, MJF was hurt. It is what it is. He had to go. He's going to have to go away for a while. That was the whole point. So he's going to be off TV for a little while. He's going to nurse those injuries and everything and try to heal back up. We'll discuss him more in a second. But you crown Samoa Joe your champion. That to me is a positive thing.
Joe's a great champ. I love Joe. Joe's a serious badass. But does Joe fight the devil now?
No, because Joe's not in that.
But what? Who does Joe? Who's the new? I don't know. I love having Joe as champion because Joe's a real guy. I mean, he's a badass. He's somebody.
As Joe puts it, people were causing fights in the back, but they wasn't nobody picking fights with him.
Exactly.
I think he will be a good stabilizing force as champion going forward while MJF is kind of dealing with all his injuries and everything.
Well, it's always good to have a guy as the champion of your wrestling promotion who looks like he could beat your ass. Look at Michael Judas in Georgia. That's why Michael Judas has almost every belt in Georgia. Because you could legitimately think your promotion is credible if your belt is on somebody who could beat your ass. It's really simple.
Yeah.
It makes you look good.
Yeah.
You don't put it on somebody who looks like they could get their shit kicked in every time they got in the ring. It's just as Myron stated on all this.
Look, speaking of new champions, they crowned Eddie Kingston this Triple Crown champion. Look, it's good for and this is kind of I had to come to grips with this. I'm not a big Eddie Kingston fan. I'm not shitting on Eddie Kingston. I'm just not a big Eddie Kingston guy. However, because of the base they cater to on a regular basis, Eddie Kingston targets that demo very well. So putting this on him makes perfect sense. By the way, the whole Triple Crown thing is essentially a tribute to Japanese style wrestling, which caters more to it even more so.
Yes.
So I understand why they did what they did, and I'm okay with that in the sense of because it does cater to their market. Our market was catered more to for the Edge and Christian storyline. Look, I get it. He's Adam Copeland. He will be fucking Edge. I'm done trying to call him Adam Copeland.
You can't call him by any other name besides Edge and Christian. I'm sorry. I don't recognize who you're talking about if you call him anything besides Edge and Christian.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look, I thought they did a really good job. I loved the whole swerve of, Edge wins the title, but then Christian takes Kill Switch's / Luchasaurus's shot to get it right back within a couple minutes, dragging look, when I say dragging the story out, it's not like dragging like, oh my God, but they're progressing the story. It's going to continue to go on and on and on. So
did you like it better as a Switch or a Saurus?
The problem is when I say Kill Switch, I was always getting him confused with Switchblade with Jay White. So I'm like, when I would read Kill Switch, I kept thinking Jay White for some reason, and not that it was actually Luchasaurus.
You think they'll ever like unmask him?
They need to.
I mean, seriously, how many years has it been, and he still's wearing that silly mask?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, if he had on a wrestling mask, like a Mr.
I don't know what he looks like. That's probably the big thing. I don't know what he looks like. So
I've seen pictures of him like on the internet somewhere, but I'm not really certain. Yeah. Maybe he's just ugly. Maybe he needs a mask. Maybe he's got one of those faces that nobody will believe in.
Look, what's wrong with an old nasty looking heel, right? That's I don't have a problem with that either.
Well, maybe he looks like a
who knows. Dustin Rhodes, the Swerve Strickland thing confused me. Him and Keith Lee were supposed to have a match. Didn't happen. Dustin fills in. Look, I love Dustin Rhodes. I do. But Dustin Rhodes taking the guy that's supposed to be your next guy, Swerve Strickland, to the distance. Like he wins, but he
shattered dreams.
I'm just kind of like, does that make Swerve look bad?
No, it doesn't do good anything for him. It doesn't help him. I mean, with God Almighty, Dustin Rhodes is one of my favorites of all times. Is Goldust.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows what they're
thinking. I loved it, man. I love Goldust and Marlena. Yeah. I love the whole thing, but he's older than we are now, Nick.
Yeah, it's not even that. I just don't think for a placement on the card, like if you had been using Dustin and pushing him in a really strong way, sure. but you don't. So I think Swerve
bring him
needed to
in
be a
dry.
guy. Yeah. Anyway.
You just bring him in dry without the kind of build, and it's like you can't explain that.
Well, look, I'm not going to get into the rest of the pay-per-view. It was what it was. At World's End, look, the card was solid. Look, the thing is, they always deliver as far as the match quality. I think they always do pretty strong on theirs.
Yes.
They cater to their audience, but they're just not selling to any new audiences at the moment.
The women's matches were entertaining. I love Statlander. I love Willow Nightingale. I think both of them will actually be really good future. I don't understand what Tony Storm's doing, that whole thing. And Rio, God bless.
Who knows?
I don't get that. But I have to stop looking at things. I was about to say, those two will be really good acquisitions for WWF. No, they can be great talent at AEW.
They are, yeah. That's the thing.
Okay, I don't have to look at it that Triple H will come and get them. But the whole thing is, speaking of Triple H, Andrade's gone. And Miro looks like $1 million, dude.
Yeah.
Andrade to WWE again. Work with Charlotte.
Seems that way. With her hurt, who knows what that? Maybe he'll take a break and go take care of her for a little while. But yeah. But look, let's move on to 2024. Talking a little bit about AEW. Look, the big one, of course, is the MJF. Does he resign? Like, there's the argument he has already resigned. He hasn't. I think if he hasn't, he will. I think he stays. I think like taking him off the roster, all of that stuff is just storyline and let it, whatever. I just don't know that. I can't see him leaving. I just can't. I think he's such the focal point.
Yeah, he's the biggest fish in a relatively smaller pond. If he were to go to WWE, he would be at best an average size. Now he's a phenomenal talent.
Listen, hold on. I'm going to push back a little bit. I'm going to push back. And the only reason I say that is they've proven their track record. Look, they made Cody a star. They made him a top guy. They've let Punk come right in and be a top guy. Now, if I were them, I would look. This is going to be sacrilege for me to say. If it were me, I would put him in NXT and make him the face of NXT for like 6 months to a year. And then I would bring him over. Think about it. New channel next year. Have MJF make a run going into the CW, and once they get on CW and they got some momentum, then he makes the jump.
That's good. That's good. That's real good.
So Mercedes Moné, look, I still think she signs there.
Okay, are they signing her or signing her ego, Nick? When's the last match she's had? Seriously.
She's hurt.
She wanted more than Charlotte.
All right. I'll defend her on this. I know a lot of people push on this. I think in wrestling, you have to have an ego. I think you have to believe you're as valuable as and look, I don't fault her at all for thinking that she feels. I'm not saying she is. I've been on record to say I think Charlotte is the greatest female wrestler on the planet right now. But I don't have a problem with Sasha believing she is and she deserves that money. Mercedes Moné, whatever.
I think her cousin Snoop and get this shit straightened out.
Look, not only does she sign, I think she's going to make one Britt Baker even more unhappy because I think she takes over the women's division in AEW as well. I think here's the one that's going to, like, I teased it a little bit earlier. I do think Warner Brothers Discovery moves on. I think that they move on and they do not re-sign them.
So your theory is, even if they own 30%, they're willing to say,
30%.
Okay.
30% of nothing is nothing.
We'll use it as a long-term investment, like some of that crypto stuff you talk about. You'll just leave your money in there and then wait till you see what happens. Because, I mean, we're not going to lose any money anyway. We'll take our 75 cents, and if our 75 cents blows up over time, great. If not, we'll just lose 75 cents. Okay.
I will tell you this, too. I think if they do, there's a lot of ifs here. If they were to lose their deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, I would look into doing my own streaming service at this point.
For everything.
Yep. Let me add, because here's why. that diehard base buys so many fucking pay-per-views every single week. You're not going to get a great deal if you lose Warner Brothers Discovery. You're not getting a great deal from anybody else, right?
No.
Why not just go out? Tony Khan's got all the money in the world, as they like to point out. Start your own streaming service. I think that fan base, I think they buy that. If everything was on there, Rampage, Dynamite, Collision, pay-per-views, everything were all on one streaming service, I think that diehard base pays for it. And you get all the money you don't have to worry about. You could do whatever the hell you want to. You build up that base, and then hopefully someday Peacock, no, but somebody just like Peacock did with WWE, someday, even if it's a year or 2, 3 years down, 4 years down the road, Prime Video comes calling. Somebody comes calling and saying, we want to become they work that same deal.
No, there's a problem with that. It makes sense off the top, but you'll never draw new audiences to a paid network without some kind of introductory feature. You need television. You need YouTube. If you're not going to have a show on YouTube.
They've been on TV for 5 years. They haven't drawn new audience. I just squashed your argument. TV hasn't fucking helped them at all.
Wow, that's the worst. That's actually the worst thing I might have ever heard. Okay. I quit.
I'm just saying. I mean, they've had TV for 5 years and their audience hasn't grown. Do your internet.
I'm gonna wave this only flag I have. You got me. That's sad, Nick. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
5 years of TV, and the audience hasn't grown at all.
So that's the way I look at it. Go in house, create your own wallet, and you make all the money. You don't have to share it with a soul.
You don't think that's going to cause them to fail, though? You don't think that's going to?
If they lose Warner Brothers Discovery, they have bigger issues. They got to prioritize. There's wholesale changes if they lose Warner Brothers Discovery. They got to stop being WWE Light at that point. They got to figure out to make themselves stand out. And I don't even know how they do that, but they got to do something. Because look, free agents, like my next prediction, free agents like Will Ospreay, by the way, here's the funny thing. He will main event All In my opinion. But he's not going to save them. Like, Will Ospreay's not coming in and wrestling. The greatest wrestler in the world ain't saving your promotion and growing your audience.
The thing about Will Ospreay is the people that watch WWE, the average person, doesn't know who the hell he is unless you're an internet wrestling fan. These people that have to, just watch on a casual basis don't know. You have to get in there and dig for these people. Like Ospreay, unless you've watched some TNA, basically, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know who Ospreay is.
I don't know.
So you have to have it explained to you. That's the problem. It's an insider joke at best. You have to have these people explain to you. Maybe it is better as a subscription service.
Maybe. Two final predictions. I think Edge and Christian win tag team gold. Period. I don't know. Look, how ironic would it be if it was Ring of Honor gold versus AEW gold, but I think that at some point they're tag champions just because it's kind of full circle to kind of come through the story. And my last prediction, Swerve Strickland does become the AEW world champion at some point this year. He's so hot, and that crowd loves him so much. He's got all the momentum in the world, and I think he does become the world champion at some point this year. That's my take.
So you think it should be called AEW Hub?
Sure. The Russians will steal your account, Myron.
That was
just saying. Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
All right, man. Well, that's the predictions for AEW. You should have a stronger password. But look, now we're going to head into, before we get into the Indy talk about where we're going to be this weekend, our favorite segment, it seems like every week, we're going a little out there, man. We're going West Coast, the West Coast Wrecking Crew. Royce Isaacs, he is our Pro Wrestling T-shirt of the week this week. Check out over there, ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Royce Isaacs. The link will be in the show note as well. He's got a couple shirts there. Rumors are they may be coming to Georgia sooner than later. So check out our friends over at Pro Wrestling Tees, the West Coast Wrecking Crew, Royce Isaacs. That is this week's Pro Wrestling Tees shirt of the week. While you're there, Myron, you know what they should do? They should probably buy one of our shirts too.
Oh, that's a great place to get our shirts.
Yeah.
I wear them all the time, and they're super durable and they last forever. Royce Isaacs is a great guy. We've talked to him several times. We've seen him on television a lot of times too. He's been on some NWA programs.
Yep. Met him one time. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Real good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, let's dive into where we're going to be this weekend, Myron. But before we do, we're going to show you where we're going to be on Friday.
Attention wrestling fans, join us January 5th as we kick off 2024 with SHW 58 Year of Honor. Live from the Action Building in Canton, Georgia. The SHW Tag Team Championships will be on the line as the Hierarchy defends against #1 contenders Happy Madness. Endgame member and Southern Honor champion Judias goes one-on-one with the Kenway. Plus, former Ring of Honor World Champion Jonathan Gresham makes his SHW debut. Also in action, AEW's Anthony Ogogo, Jake the Snake Legacy Championship Day, Nagicism, CT Keys, Hollywood Hunter James, and more. Tickets start at just $15 and go on sale at the door the night of the show beginning at 5 p.m. Doors open at 7, bell time at 8. As always, kids 10 and under are free. Invite all your friends to help us ring in the new year and come see firsthand why we are SHW and this is our wrestling.
That's right, man. This Friday at the Action Building, 261 Marietta Street, Marietta Road in Canton, Georgia. SHW Southern Honor. It's going to start the year off with a bang, man, on a Friday, January 5th.
Thank you for letting us advertise your product. Thank you for providing us with another round of advertising revenue. Guys, I hate to be biased. I hate to be another. You remember these Gary Club t-shirts? The Hold Your Fork deal? I don't mean to be biased. Gary is the closest thing I've had to a spiritual advisor for a long time. And this show is going to be incredible. You've seen that card, Nick, up and down. It's probably the most impressive card I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, man. Look, lots of stuff going on. I'm not even going to hide and lie. The match that I'm looking forward to more than anything, Hunter James versus Chip Day for the Jake the Snake Legacy title. That one should easily be the show stealer. Look, Hunter's super talented. He really is. But I've said, look, Chip has got to teach this punk a lesson. He has got to teach him some manners and, some respect. Chip focused and on fire right now.
I'm probably the biggest 100-day fan short of our little friend and the #1 wrestling commentator and writer in the entire state of Georgia. The creator of all the great wrestling cards, the man who loves the overrated, and the man who keeps things under control. But I have to tell you, this is going to be an amazing match. Chip is focused. I'm going to pick Hunter James, but I am very, very disturbed about the fact that Tristan is not going to be allowed in the building, Nick.
Good.
I don't think that's fair. Like I said, I've had some health issues this week myself. I've forgotten a few things. I'm not quite sure the details right now. I find this disturbing. I don't think this is right.
Listen,
I'll be watching.
I'm going Chip. Hunter's right on the cusp of being great.
Oh, I'll be predicting Hunter, but I'll also be watching for any impropriety at all. And if there's anything I see out of ordinary that Tristan normally would be watching for, I will be reporting it on next week's show.
Yeah, I'm still, like I said, I'm going Chip, but it should hands down be the match of the night in my opinion. The main event is Joe Black, Murder One versus Happy Madness for the tag titles. Happy Madness is due. They're due for a W. But that one should be on fire. Judias versus Kenway. we talked about, look, how we think Judas is, look, Kenway, I get he's great. He's a young stud. Judas is he's just a monster. He's just a monster. It's hard to go against him. Cool to see like Anthony Agogo coming in. Jonathan Gresham's going to be on the card. I know he's teaming with Michael Solar versus the Akuto Death Society. But how cool is it to see Jonathan Gresham, Anthony Agogo, both on this card? I've been full. Let's back up because I got to say this because one of the knocks on Georgia wrestling is a lot of the wrestling cards look very similar. It has been that. That's fair, and I think that's a fair statement. Anybody who says otherwise they're kidding themselves. I like that they're actually mixing things up, and they're like the cards shuffled a little bit. There's some new faces here, which I'm happy to see. And I think that set yourself apart. It's kind of going to be what 2024 needs to be for independent wrestling, is set yourself out and make yourself set apart, from the other promotions as well. Najicism versus CT Keys should be a spectacular match, but dude, it's hard. Look, we think the world of Najicism, but CT Keys is a fucking beast.
It's going to be hard. He's like a stone wall. Yeah. If anything else, the moment he had at Southern Fried last show was absolutely scary. I am just, I cannot be more excited about this.
Yeah.
So.
Alexander Lev versus Fluffman. That's
been
building
I'm looking
for a
forward
couple
to this.
shows.
I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, it should be entertaining. Should be a good match. Can Cody get revenge on Alexander Lev? Look, Lev's had a losing streak. He needs a W.
Yeah, you're going to start seeing Lev continue to distinguish himself. It may not be winning right now, but he's going to be distinguished himself as hated, causing problems, getting into under people's skin. I'm gonna put a lot on him. Mainly most improved wrestler in Georgia this year, probably one of the most valuable wrestlers in Georgia in 2024. His booking will go up extremely next year.
I agree. Big things out of Lev coming this year. Look, that's going to be Friday, 8 p.m. bell time. Doors open at 7 in the Action Building right there in Canton, Georgia. Southern Honor, January the 5th. Make sure you're there. Should be a great way to start off the year. And then the doubleheader weekend, believe it or not, it's not Southern Fried in Monroe. This time it's Anarchy Wrestling in Monroe.
Man, I'm so excited. I couldn't even be more excited. Oh, and Mason will be so excited also. The list is so well. His list is so well represented on this card, Nick. Oh my God,
it is. Main event, Nick Halen. Maybe that's his new nickname. Main event, Nick Halen, because he's starting to main event everywhere. Main event, Nick Halen versus Judas. Ladder match for the Anarchy Championship. They just had that instant classic, the 58-minute match for for that title back at Southern Fried. Ladder match. Look, as much as I love Judas and I think he's a beast, I think I'm going to go Nick Halen on this one.
I can't predict on this one. I really can't. I don't understand all the physics and what we've got going on. So I'm going to actually have to see. I'm going to have to be there in person. I'm going to see how they set this up. Rodney, unless I hear something from Rodney between now and show day, I'm not going to be able to do any predictions. So I'm going to have to see it in person. I'm going to have to, get a feel for the show day feel.
Hunter James versus Jacob Ashworth for the Landmark Heritage Championship. Look, I picked against the kid versus Chip Day, but my gut feeling tells me he can't take 2 L's in a weekend.
Slobber,
so I think he's going to win.
I predict there will be a lot of slobbers knocked. A lot of slobber knockery going on in this match. The trickiness of Hunter James will be his asset here. Jacob Ashworth is probably the most popular wrestler in this crowd.
That region, yeah.
That region. You don't understand, people, how much appeal Jacob Ashworth has until you see him in other places, like when they did Anarchy in Canton, and the crowd went nuts. You knew those people drove there to see him. That was their crowd. Mm-hmm. I think Hunter with this case will be going against the crowd, but I think he's a very resourceful young man, so it's hard to bet against him.
Yeah, I take Hunter James for the W to regain the Landmark Heritage Championship. Other matches featured on the card, we're not going to go through, but Undeniable versus Sal Rinauro and Seth Delay should be super match.
Can't wait to see Matt Hankins again.
Scott Mason, Mr. Overrated himself versus Jeter. Look, I love some Scott Mason. I honestly do. Sorry, buddy. Jeter's the fucking monster. There's no way.
He's going to underrate you all of a sudden. Sorry, Scott.
Yeah. Big fans of both guys in Najasism versus Alexander Lev. That match should be very entertaining.
Very good.
Quality match. And then, look, absolute brutality will come to fruition as Azrael will face Curtis Coleman in a Rejects Rules match. Let's just call it, it's just probably going to be total anarchy, no pun intended, where just everything and anything can go down.
I think that's the two strongest cards. I think this is definitely the two strongest cards I have seen on one weekend in a very long time. I think the people in Central Georgia are blessed with some of the best wrestling you're going to be able to see anywhere. Folks, you've got to get out to these shows. You've got to see this. Let's get out there and let's pack these houses out.
That's right, man. It's Friday in Canton at Southern Honor. Saturday, Anarchy in Monroe, 405 Community Court in Monroe, Georgia. Don't forget, look, I'm not sure I can make it. UWF is running on Sunday in Colbert.
Too.
That should be a great, entertaining show. Make sure you're checking them out. I believe OSWA, I know SCA runs on Fridays, I think it is. Look, there's all these promotions running everywhere. Make sure you're checking out friend of the show, Rob Rod, over at the Rob Rod Report. Look, he's telling you where all the shows are, dude. He's doing all the work for you to make it easy for you. Just go fucking subscribe to his channel. And not only he's doing Georgia, he's doing Alabama, he's doing Tennessee for you. He's trying to do your work for you, man. Just go over there to YouTube at the Rob Rod Report and check it out and subscribe.
And if you find it difficult, I will be providing facial hair cutouts that you can just stick on your screen while he's talking to make it look like he still has his facial hair.
His goatee.
Because he looks really weird without it. Sorry, Rob.
He's a baby face.
Yes.
Rob went from heel. Rob had a baby face turn. That's what he did.
I liked him as a heel better, Rob. Sorry.
No, we love Robbie. We love babyface Rob.
I glued the thing to my screen while he's talking.
Listen, and that's what we're telling you, man. Make sure you're going over to his YouTube channel, subscribing, as well as ours, all in one swoop. We are youtube.com. Our handle is @TappedOutPod. Pull it up. Subscribe, like it, turn your notifications on, subscribe to the page. Hell, become a member if you choose, and check out Rob Rods while you're there as well. But look, we understand that sometimes you just can't handle all the sexy that is the Rob Rod Report or our show, so you're going to be just a podcast listener. Look, we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, anywhere and everywhere there is a podcast platform. We are there. Make sure if you're a podcast listener, subscribe. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating and review. We greatly appreciate it as well. And listen, want to remind you, tappedoutpod@gmail.com is the mailbag. We're probably going to go back and do some mailbag episodes coming up soon, so send those questions in. tappedoutpod@gmail.com.
Take the opportunity to fill Nick's sack as full as you can get it.
Absolutely. While you're doing that, make sure you support the show by supporting all of our sponsors, whether it's Lipson.com, promo code TAP. That is Lipson.com. It's the best place. If you're ever going to do a podcast, we always tell you that's the best place to get involved with. Lipson.com, promo code TAP. Sign up today and get up to 2 months for free. And, of course, our friends over at jmartinandcompany.com. Pressure washing, window cleaner, gutters, all that good stuff. They will handle all your needs, residential or commercial. jmartinandcompany.com, or look for them on J Martin and Company on Facebook as well. It seems to be the easiest place just to find send them a message and get your work lined up. They're busy, so get in today before it gets too late as well. Myron, anything else before we get out of here?
No, I apologize. I've been strange. I'm always weird the day after a seizure, folks. So Nick's sick and I'm flipping. So we're doing our best to put another wonderful episode together for you. And I think we did a fine job. We'll be looking for you this weekend. We're always where you can contact us. So hit us up if you got any secrets.
That's right, man. Well, if that's all you've got, brother, what's the old saying? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.